Hey Real World Climbers, it's Josh, and we're here with another video. Pretty excited to share with you what we're going to be doing today. So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be finding a location for my hangboard. But we can't just, install a hangboard. We got to do it big. So I've had this Nycros hangboard since I started climbing back in 2001 in my first year. And so it's probably 21 years old and going strong. And I'm super excited about finding a new location for it here in Real World Climbing Headquarters Part 5. I also happen to be nursing a broken hand, as you may have seen in some previous videos. And so this project to find a spot for my hangboard is going to be part of kind of working my way back into manipulating and using my hand. I have about 1 week left of wearing this full time, and then I am going to start easing back into training. But I'm going to be using the installation of this hangboard as part of my recovery as well. But at Real World Climbing, we're not going to go small installing a hangboard. Originally I was thinking maybe I'd just install it over a doorway and then, or just find a wall here in the garage and install it, but that's not going to be good enough. So I've been brainstorming on where I can put the hangboard. And here's what I came up with. So follow me. Something I'm going to install the hangboard like right here, right in the middle of the air, right here. You're probably like, what? I can install it in the middle of the air. And of course, no, I'm not going to install it in the middle of the air. I'm not just going to have it hanging down here. So since we're going big, the hangboard is going to go here on the side of a 30-degree climbing wall that I'm going to be putting in right there. Boom. That's right. I got permission from my boss, my wife, to expand the climbing wall already. We've been here for about 6 months and already got the expansion bug, so we're going to go ahead and expand this climbing wall. So we're going to be building a 30-degree wall from the base of that ninja wall down towards the front of the garage here. So that does kind of contradict something I've said in the past, which is that I like to have my garage for parking a car. And we will no longer be parking a car in here. Instead, this is going to be our shed. So instead of building out a shed outside for lawnmower and other tools and all that stuff, storage, we're just going to use the remaining portion of the garage as a shed and continue to park out on the driveways. And I think that'll be fine. It actually worked out fine over the winter and we didn't mind it that much. And so that's what we're going to plan on doing. And that leaves more square footage here in the garage for climbing wall. So once I got permission from my wife that this is what we can do, I started brainstorming, well, how can we fit it in? How can we get the most square footage in place? And that's where I decided to do that, coming out front. So essentially we're going to have a climbing room. So from this edge here, it's going to make a big C with only a little bit of opening. So it'll start here and go all the way around to the moon board. We'll go into some of this vert section. But then the 30-degree wall is going to come up underneath here and come down here. And then that will be completely 8 feet wide on this face here. So really there'll just be a little opening here to get in, and then the whole thing will be climbing. I'm excited about that because this ninja wall, this right hand side of this ninja wall, didn't really get used that much. And so having that 30-degree wall come up and then come up in the head wall, I'll be able to use a lot more of that ninja wall. And then also I plan on finishing up here and putting some more climbing up here on the vert section. Also, I'm going to be expanding a little bit, another triangle here at the top of the 20-degree wall. So I've got this one triangle right here, but I just feel like I want more, and I have to avoid this corner of the moon board. But if I start like right here and go straight up to there, I think I can get a handful more square footage on that as well. I have some other surprises that are going to make the ambiance and make this room, like, in my opinion, epic, that we're going to be doing as well. So what I'll do now is I'll jump into my plans and share with you what my plans are on graph paper, and then we'll come back and we'll clean out the garage, and we have a few extra supplies to go buy. I did already make a purchase from one of my favorite ways to get bulk fasteners, and that is the Fastener Superstore, fastenersuperstore.com, and I've used them several times to buy T-nuts in bulk, to buy cap head bolts in bulk and things like that, and the price has been really good, the quality's been good. So I needed more T-nuts, so we already bought them. I know everybody's dealing with it, but man, lumber's gotten crazy expensive since the last time I had to buy lumber. I haven't actually had to buy any lumber since pre-COVID for any of this, because I was able to reuse it all from previous builds. What blew me away is particularly the plywood. I used to be able to get CDX plywood for like $20 to $25 a sheet, and the CDX was 65 something dollars. I ended up getting ACX, so a better quality plywood, for only $2 extra. So eek, but luckily I only need 2. Alright, so here we are, the handy graph paper. These are the plans for the first part of the build that you've seen in my earlier series, but I've taken this and I've expanded upon it and gotten a bit more detailed. I've even used some color coordinations here. So this is the side view, and some of this already exists. So like this red wall here is that red moonboard, and this gray wall front facing here is that 20-degree wall, and all the different stuff in between. So a lot of this is the same. What I'm going to be doing with this expansion that is different is right here there's that triangle that's already up top, up there, and I want to have a little bit more finishing ability on that, so I'm going to be adding an additional triangle right here that just makes it wider at the top and just more complete, but at the same point still leaving enough space here for the finishing holds up in the top corner of the moonboard. So all that already pretty much exists. I'm going to be adding that. In addition, I'm going to be finishing up here in the top part of the vert wall, and my solution for that is actually going to be unique. I'm going to take that volume there and literally just mount the volume up there. It'll fit pretty decent without many gaps, and I don't really have a place that I like for that volume right now, and so that's kind of indicated by this triangle in yellow here. Just imagine that it's 3D and it's on the other wall. So where am I adding? And the piece that I'm adding here is this 30-degree wall right here. So right here we have the existing hangboard that's already cantilevered up here. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be incorporating that into the wall. So it is going to still be cantilevered up at the top, but I'm actually going to attach it to the wall here on the bottom as well. And so I'm going to have that 30-degree wall there. That's the side view of that. So this top view might help out as well. This is the existing moonboard and how much space that takes up, 20-degree wall, transition wall. So here is where that 30-degree wall is going to go. And what I like about this view here is it shows how this is going to kind of go into and connect to that ninja wall. That most of the ninja wall was wasted space, and this is where it's going to connect there. And then this is the face-on view of the moonboard and the 20-degree wall, but it kind of also shows where that is going to connect, and it's going to be 8 feet wide just like this. So the other part of this that it's kind of showing is really the only walkway is going to be in through here to get into basically an entire climbing room here. And so that would be a walkway. So the other part of this that works in with the plans is that since this garage is basically going to be a shed, we wanted to be able to add additional storage as well. And so the whole back side of this, so like my garage door entry is over here, and so as you come in, all this is available for storage and shelving, as well as, you know, storing the lawnmower and things like that. So that's kind of the premise of this. And over here I have the face-on view of the 30-degree wall, mainly to show where I'm going to grid out my T-nuts. So this is kind of the top of the joist work, and the ninja wall goes here. So this will be 30 degrees up to that point into that ninja wall head wall, and it's going to be 6 feet wide at the top, 4 feet, and then it's going to be 8 feet wide here in the bottom 5 feet, and then I'll have a tie-in here where I'll kind of have a little section of plywood as well. So this time, instead of having the T-nuts random like I did on my original walls, I'm going to have them be in a specific grid, and maybe even 2 different grids. So like I have the little X's and little dots. For sure I'm going to put T-nuts at all the dots, and I'm contemplating whether I do screw-ons or actually do T-nuts in the in-between spots as well. But what I want to do is I want to have this be a uniform grid, and that way from here on over can be a setup, and then I can do a symmetrical set from here on over. I don't have a set of symmetrical holds at this point, but I at least want to have the setup with the T-nuts ready for when I do come to that in the future. So those are the plans. I do have some preparatory work to do before we get to the actual build. And the preparations that we'll see today are going to be cleaning, organizing the garage a little bit. If you recall, in the previous videos of the build of this wall, the previous owners left boxes and boxes of this laminate flooring, and so I'm actually going to be flooring the garage. It's going to have nice insulated rubber, so it'll stay warmer in the winters, and it'll be great. Easy to clean, all that good stuff. So that is what we're going to try to accomplish today, is cleaning, organizing, and hopefully installing a bunch of this flooring. At the same time, I have to be careful not to do too much with this hand. Alright, so I've cleaned out the garage here, and basically I'm going to put flooring in this whole section here, all the way up to that gold tape. The gold tape here is an estimate of where the kickboard for the new 30-degree wall is going to come to, and I'm going to do the flooring all the way through there, and then probably just have it square off right here. I don't think I'll do the flooring out here where the lawnmower and stuff is going to be, but basically this will all have like this nice insulated flooring, and it'll be my own little climbing room. So I'm going to get started on that. It's the snap together kind, so I think I'll be able to do it basically by hand, snap together. So it takes 4 full sheets to go the length that I want to go, which means then I'll do 3 full ones and then 2 halves on the alternating rows. So then I'm going to cut this approximately in half, and that will get us a half piece for one side and then the other half for the other side of the row with full pieces in between. So when you cut it in half, it's going to be like the good edge is on one side, and this is my cut edge over here. So I just have to flip-flop them, so instead of this being on the left, this is going to start over on the right. Halfway done here, and it's looking pretty good. Found my rhythm. After just a few more rows here, I'm gonna have to do some diagonal cuts here for this, so that'll be a little bit tricky, but I think it'll be doable because it's always gonna be on the last part, the last board that goes down. So what I had to do there is I'm just now getting to the part where that diagonal is happening, so I had to go measure where I need to start cutting and then at what angle. So I wasn't actually sure what angle that wall was at, and it turns out it's pretty much a 45. So that'll be nice and easy for the miter saw. I wrapped up the flooring last night, and it's looking pretty slick. I mean, what other garage has laminate flooring in it? Insulated laminated flooring. So now we're on to the next day's events, and I'm going to start with a few of the smaller pieces of the puzzle that we talked about earlier. So the first one we're going to do is we're going to take this pyramid volume and we're going to install it as part of a climbing wall up here at the top. And then after that, my goal is to get this piece up behind me here. Just this extension here where I'm basically going to start from where my finger is and go straight up to about there. Just adding another triangle of finishing space at the top of the 20-degree wall. So immediately I'm running into that plan A is not working, and so I'm gonna have to move on to plan B and beyond probably. But I just did a mock-up with the volume, and maybe my math is way off or something like that, but it does not fit. And even if it did fit, I was realizing that my attachment points were not where I need them, and so I'm gonna have to come back to this later. So it would have been great, and it still will be nice eventually to finish that, but it's not an utmost priority right now. So I'm gonna hold off on it and maybe brainstorm some more solutions and come back to that. So in the meantime, I'm going to now start fitting up here. So what that means is I'm gonna need to remove some of these holes that I've attached on the side here. I'm not gonna have it come down all the way here, so I'm actually think I'm gonna leave this one on here and have it join up like right here. And what that also means is then is I'm going to be taking I'm going to take an additional 2x4, put it next to here, and then one here as well that comes down a little bit for me to attach the plywood to. And then I'll angle a piece and connect it here to meet up there. So I took this board here and I just kind of freehanded some drawings here of the angles I want to cut, and so that's how I'm going to cut this board, and we're just going to see how it fits. It's kind of these weird angles, so it's not something I can really just make perfect, so I'm going to cut and see. Alright, let's see how that fits. Okay, so not quite so good. A little bit too steep on that cut there. So a little bit too bad. A little bit too sharp of a cut, so we're going to redo that. Look at that. Perfect. Go to screw it in place. And then the next one's going to come in from behind. So now I've framed in that triangle, and I've just got to get a piece of plywood that same shape. I think I found this scrap piece right here that will work. It's not the exact shape, but I think I can find the shape within. This will be my 36 inch. Okay. I'm pretty sure that is what I need for a triangle. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out these T-nuts that are going to be in the way, and then I may even do some additional T-nut holes in here. And all I do for this is I just screw in a bolt, a couple threads, tap it out. And these T-nuts should be reusable. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let's add a few more T-nuts. So what I've got here is this 1/2-inch paddle bit, and it's got this little starter piece here. I really like this one, and it's pretty sharp, pretty new blade here. A lot of people do maybe say that you would use like a 7/16 paddle bit for the T-nut holes, but I think they're a little bit too tight. I feel like they're just a bit too tight, and so it really depends on your preference. So 7/16 or 1/2 inch, I tend to go a little bit bigger. So 5 more holes to replace the 5 I took out. Now when installing T-nuts, you're going to sometimes get this blowback depending on the quality of your plywood, so I just like to scratch that off the side of a hammer. Now the question mark is, do I put these in now or after I cut the board? And I think I'm going to cut the board first. And then we just hammer in the T-nuts. So I guess there was one that was already missing a hole, so I replaced that. So that was the last of my old set of T-nuts. So here's my bag of 500 T-nuts that I got from Fastener Superstore. Again, not sponsored, but I really like working with them. So, all right, now the moment of truth. We're gonna go install this. Pretty solid. So I know it's not much, but I think just the added amount of finishing space is gonna be great, rather than having to always finish in the triangle. And I think I found another solution here. This is just a piece of scrap plywood that might fit here. I don't need it to be a gigantic piece of vertical that goes all the way to the top necessarily, but I do have plans to have an endurance route that comes across here and works its way into here, so this would be a good little transition. All right, so here's where I left off today. I added a little section here for continuing my loop. I ended up doing some fixing of my blocking here to prepare me for my 30-degree wall, and even throw a couple finishing jugs up there. And then I added in that additional triangle up there, and I even replaced a couple of the holds that are used in specific routes on my stamina tree and my endurance weave. If you're getting value out of this content, I would really love it if you would click the chains on the subscribe button and join me for future videos. Stay tuned for expansion part 2, where we will begin building the 30-degree wall.